Oh yeah, we can pop to the next. So now we get to the section about the character creation aspect of.
Yeah, you've been introduced to the world, and you don't even know what your role is in it.
Oh yeah, fucking love this so much. So first things first. For those who may not know, Mork is dedicated. One of my favorite things is they made a dedication to Pell, his best friend Pell Nielsen. One of his good friends, Pell O'Neill. O'Neill. I think he was a musician. I can't remember. But he dedicates literally the scene of like badass art, and the character creation part is where he waits forever in the fucking. But he doesn't put it in the start. He doesn't put it in the opening. He's like, "Hey man, right before you make a character, big ups to my homie. Yeah. Let the good times roll." Oh, I fucking love it. It's fucking great.
In this world, there are those who seek riches or redemption. Some say the apocalypse is escapable, that it might even be stopped. And there you walk in discord and despair. In one hand, you hold 2d6 times 10 of silver. The other hand holds water skin and d4 days worth of food. Your soul and your silver are your own, and equally easy to lose. I fucking love that line so fucking much.
I also like the last line to begin with, "You are what you own," and then it's like, "Here's what you own."
I love the little arrow too. That's been my favorite. It's like, here you go. You own, and then you get started. You could either start with literally no way to carry your items, and I've always interpreted that as you're able to carry your main weapon and your armor, and everything else you're just carrying in your fucking arms unless you get a fucking pack. And you get anywhere between a backpack, a sack, a wagon, a donkey. And then you get these...
I do love donkey. Not bad.
Not bad. Yeah. I fucking
good.
Love it.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's alright. You didn't do too bad. Good job. And then you get your 2d12 rolls, which I've never in any RPG have seen a d12 being used for your random assortment of items, which I think is really cool because you get one of each, and then these items are pretty fucking useful if you're clever. Every one of these can be helpful. From a fucking sharp needle that you could use for like feeding thread through like a wound or something, all the way to a small but vicious dog. D6 plus 2 HP. It bites and it only obeys you. And then you get the one that is there. Where is it?
D4 monkeys that ignore.
D4 monkeys. That's where it was. Yeah.
They ignore you, but they love you.
So fucking goofy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And it really lends itself well to as a GM, like pay attention to what your PCs get, because it might seem like magnesium strip or a sharp needle are kind of useless, but maybe that's something that you can use if they're smart to pay attention in a pinch. You know, give them scenarios where someone needs to sew something, you know, or something where magnesium strip is useful. Because on surface, I would much rather have a bear trap.
Oh yeah. See, I like the bear trap. That bottle of red poison's pretty good though. Oh yeah. And then scrolls are the twisted magic of Mork. So magic works a little differently, and we'll cover that when we get to it. But it's one of my favorite systems for using magic. Is that nobody just throws out spells. They're based off of the scrolls that you have. And I fucking love that. I think that's really fucking cool.
Yeah, the magic is it's low fantasy as far as what the PCs do. And then the world itself is very necromantic and dark fantasy. It's not, there's no cantrips and delightful little, like, I'm gonna fly. It's like, no, it's mostly raising dead and cursing, like the darker sides of magic.
Oh yeah, the setting's definitely lawful fuck you.
Well, because in this world, all things have a sacrifice and a price, right? So it's usually that price comes with a pretty big toll.
Oh yeah, you gotta watch the entire Jaws marathon in one sitting just to be able to cast one spell. Feels like sometimes.
Yeah, to cast Fireball, you'd need to like enter a village or something. And
Oh yeah.
pile their bodies to the basilisk or something.
Praise the Dark One! Oh yeah. And then we get to the creative player character, PC. As stated, these are the 5 steps. Everything else is extra. If you're the kind of person that just enjoys dungeon delving, this game can be for you. If you're a person who loves building an entire character and backstory, this game is perfect for you. There's something for everyone, but nothing hits quite as wonderfully as name your character if you wish. It will not save you.
Yeah.
So you can literally run around without a name. Oh, go ahead.
I do like, yeah, I do like that they give that as an option. Me personally, I like the optional rule.
Of course.
Of rolling, because it's interesting to have something unique. And it's cool to have a party full of like randos that have.
Oh yeah.
You know, because otherwise everyone's gonna be pretty melee based and things like that. So it's kind of cool to have all these wacky classes.
Oh yeah, and classes definitely makes it more fun. Personalities, tables to create an interesting character. That's what adds to it and makes it more of its own thing. For those who've never known about D&D, these 5 rules, that was all that this game was for Gary Gygax and their friends when they first started. Like, fucking charisma and all that shit didn't exist in Chainmail. All it was a mini war game. So that's one of the this almost harkens back to the OG before Dungeons & Dragons even existed, where it's like, oh, I can roleplay? Oh, that's awesome! They didn't even think of that shit!
Yeah. Yeah, what makes you unique? It's like unique. Like, we all want to be the same badass. It's just who's gonna be better at it.
Exactly.
Everyone's Conan the Barbarian, and that's your party.
Oh yeah, your whole crew is Bronan the Barbarian.
And let's jump on to the next one.
Oh yeah, we get to
which
amazing. Oh fucking so good. Roll a d10, find out what weapon you got. D6 if you got a scroll.
Yeah, and there's like most of the time it's a list, you know, like a page with all its damage. Like, I can't think of a more creative way, you know, albeit a little, you know, severe way to show off all the weapons featured in this game.
So fucking good. Just fucking femur, but then you get this guy just fucking gouged to shit. I fucking love it. As you can see, you just have all your different weapons, and I just love unarmed is just his nearly fucking cut off hand.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so fucking good.
Yeah. Who would have thought it's a bone as a weapon?
Oh yeah, like, and that's a free one. You get that. You fucking use that man's femur. It's an effective one. And what makes it so good is that it's a random table, but the first like 4 weapons are all D4 weapons, and they're all melee. But each has a personality. You think of the way you would harm someone with such of a weapon, and though it does the same kind of damage, it's a different like feel to it when you're using it, and I love that. And as awesome as this is, the next page is my favorite because it goes back to using that black, white, and yellow to do the best 3 weapons that you can get in the goddamn game.
Yeah, and that's why they did it, right? They really pulled it out. And I like how the flail doesn't even have a number beside it. It's just in the flail. It's just like like a drawing like some metalhead would do in like high school, like on their you know, on their homework assignment on the pages, you know.
And the flail is badass. I love the setup of the crossbow over both of the weapons. But just in big, angry letters is just Zweihande, and I fucking love that so goddamn much.
If you like this setting, that is the weapon you want. You know, that's like in your mind's eye. That's who you picture. That's guts.
That's
guts.
guts.
You know, some badass dark swordsman.
And going back to your high school drawing, it has a little high school drawing of a little skull in the fucking blade. I fucking love it.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing is we know the people who do the art in here can do better.
Yep.
It's just I love that they sometimes just choose simplicity over just super detail, you know.
Nor is just he's very I know it's it's part of their name, but he's very crafty with his designs.
Yeah.
Fucking love it.
Yeah, like even on the flail, some of the white isn't covered up around it. It's very just slapped on, which gives it a very cool feel.
And I love on the flail. There's meaty, each of them, each of these blood, just gore.
Yeah.
Just dripping on the fucking weapon. It's so badass. On the next page, you'll see your armor. So armor works differently in this game. It uses you roll a d4, only a d2 if you begin with a scroll. So you either start with no armor, or you can start with up to, if you don't have a scroll, heavy armor. And how it works is unlike in Dungeons and Dragons. In Dungeons and Dragons, you have armor class, which is your number to get over. And if they get over that number, or if you get over, you do damage and it does straight damage. In this, it's a little differently. Yes, there is still that designated roll, which is normally a 12 for most anything unless otherwise stated. And if an enemy does damage to you, you reduce it by the damage die you see right there.
Which, when you think about it, makes more sense, right?
Yes, it does, absolutely.
Because you're getting hit. You know, you're still getting hit by the sword. It's not just deflects off. It's getting through. It's just how much is it getting through? You know,
how much pain am I in today?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And if you have a shield, it reduces it by 1 whole damage point. Or, this is my favorite rule, you can choose to ignore all damage from 1 hit, but the shield breaks. That's something that me and friends would just come up with on our own when we were doing it. We were like, can we just have our shield explode and we don't get hit by it? We sacrifice the shield to not take damage this time. I mean, that should be in everything, in my opinion. That's just clever.
And your DR is your difficulty rating, which is a pretty standard role-playing term, but just in case you're wondering what DR, it's not doctor.
Thank you for clarifying. It's your doctor rating.
Yeah.
Look at how much religion and medicine you have. But yes, exactly as stated, and it affects based off of the weight of the armor affects your ability to do agility tests, which agility when we cover stats and stuff, which again they tell you what you can have before they even tell you what the fuck your stats are, which is just fucking great.
Because you are what you own. Right?
You are what you own, exactly.
Yeah. Everything else is inconsequential.
Fucking consequential. Scrolls will never work when wielding a Zweihander weapons or medium or heavy armor, so you can only use them light armor unless, again, your class changes that, which we'll cover that soon. There's so much. On the separate page, you see this beautiful pink, which I never thought using this shade of pink in anything. It works here, in my opinion. It may burn your eyes and your retinas if you're.
It's Barbie pink too. It's not. It's fuchsia. It's but with the black specks in the background, it somehow makes it more like glam metal, or something. It gives it a nice feel.
That nice fucking zest, and I just love it because even some of the pink text just flows over the black because.
They don't
fuck them. They don't give a shit.
No.
You should know this info. You should know that medicine boxes stop bleeding and infection, and a D6 worth of HP, presence +4 uses. That supersedes looking clean. Who gives a shit? fucking love
I
it.
like at the bottom too. It just says improvised weapons do D4 damage. Who wouldn't forego fisticuffs for a grappling hook?
Fucking good. Oh, and then preserved corpse is worth. You can buy one for 66 plus a D6 worth of coin.
I don't know what for. I don't know what use you'd have for preserved corpse, but
I don't know.
Yeah.
I need. Somebody needs to eat. Sorry to those who are afraid of cannibalism. Then you got your weapons. You got your services. Your armor levels. So as armor gets broken down, it drops in tiers, and we'll cover what situations would affect that. But your armor reduces over time, which again, why wouldn't it? Like, I mean, fucking great.
if you nearly die fighting a dragon, you wouldn't just go into the next fight with like pristine armor, right?
Exactly. Like, and then you got you can have animals to the chagrin of every game master ever. You can have pets.
That's always fun keeping track of 70 animals that people collect.
And just gonna let you people know out there, if you have a pet, half the time I'm gonna kill them in the first session. I'm kidding.
I agree, and it's not because I want to. I derive no pleasure from it, but people always are like, yeah, let's get my dog to attack an ogre, and it's like, no, that's not a good idea.
It's gonna get crushed.
Yeah, it's a half level challenge rating creature. It's gonna get crushed in one hit.
And especially in this system where your dog, again, that small but vicious dog is gonna have a D6 plus 2 HP. If you're lucky, your dog has 3 hit points, and you want to send them against a what?
Yeah.
Whatever, motherfucker. Next page, unless there's anything on here that you wanted to cover.
I'm happy with it. Once again, like, we jump to the next page, and it's like a completely different book.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, what? Like,
I believe this is an image of. I know this is of the Genesis, the Noah's Ark, but I can't remember what artist. But I've seen this piece before, and
it's incredibly biblical.
All it reminds me is of the 1950s film, the fucking Exodus or whatever, where they actually drown like 3 people for the fucking scene.
Yeah.
It's powerful. It's beautiful imagery here, but all it reminds me is just like, yeah, 3 people died because the director's a piece of shit trying to make a Jesus movie. I'm like, fuck you. Sorry, just something I thought about. Abilities. So this is how your character gets to use a modifier. Modifiers are the little number by the abilities, so you can see them in order. You roll your 3d6, so you take your d6, which is the little 6-sided die, and you generate your agility, presence, strength, or toughness. Then you completely get rid of the big number. All we care about from this point on is the little modifier, the -3, the +3, the +0, and we use those for the rest of the game. That's where this game is, in my opinion, better than a lot of these other games that keep that core number, because all that number does is just hang there and tell you what the little number means. Or like, oh, it represents here, but here's a real thing. Just fucking have one number so I don't have to track everything under the fucking sun. I don't know. Your opinion may be different, but I'm happy I don't have to track fucking several different numbers. It's just boom, 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 here's your character.
Yeah, and I mean, all the other systems kind of basically just like lay it out so that your modifier is what matters, but this one just completely doesn't even have room for it. It's just like,
oh yeah,
you roll it, it's done. If you get a bonus to your abilities, it's just a bonus. It's not a bonus to your ability score, it's just your modifier.
Oh yeah. And that's how tests are ran. Tests are made against difficulty rating. The DR we talked about, not being a doctor. Congratulations. You have not gone to med school. To succeed, roll a d20 plus your ability with a result equal to or greater than the DR. Like I said, most of the time it's just going to be a 12. Super simple. Get a 12 or better. And then you get to accomplish whatever task you're trying to beat. difficulty ratings. It shows it here, but I hardly personally ever use any of these other ratings unless any of the ratings lower than 12. In my opinion, if it's lower than 12, why does it need a fucking roll? That doesn't sound as challenging to me. You may feel differently, Sengoku, but I'm like...
I do, because I do like the idea of someone just wanting to do something, and then you can give them a chance for failure.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I just want to, like, I'm gonna climb this tree. You know, like, most people can climb a tree, but, like, I'm gonna punish you if you are really terrible at climbing trees. It basically, like, works well for someone, let's say, if they have a terrible charisma. Or in this case, let's say your presence. You know, you have a terrible presence, and you want to charm someone. And the best you could possibly roll is an 8. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make you roll for it. You know, just because there's a good chance you might fail it.
Well, I guess he's a little more cruel than I am.
Yeah.
And I get that. No, I get it. It is fun to see on those little things. And in this game, it can definitely work. And definitely be something to do because it's the game where failure can be funny.
Here's a good example: swimming, right? Like normally for most people, let's say it's not super deep. It's not even a normal challenge. Like most people wouldn't have to roll. But then you have this guy who's loaded up on armor. He's carrying like a heavy pack. He's got his Zweihander, and he wants to cross the river. It's like, well, I'm gonna make you roll for that because this guy might drown. You know.
Well, that guy, if he's wearing all that heavy armor, it's +4, so he's already having difficulty, plus his heavy weapon. He's fucking... Unless it gets really high, he's just fucked.
Yeah.
Which is where it comes down to, is that there's that difficulty... What feels like... I don't know, when I think of it, I think of what difficulty matches this challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, if you gotta beat a 6, and that's all you gotta roll... That feels kind of silly to have somebody roll something that low. I don't know, for me, I just look at them like, okay, beat a 6. Okay. Oh, 4. Okay, well, you flop on the ground like a fish and die.
Once again, if someone has a presence of -3 to their ability.
Oh yeah, well,
right? Like at that point, and they want to do something that's super basic for everybody else. You know, like, that is something where I'd give them a challenge rating super low, so anybody else in the party would do it. I wouldn't even make them roll. One character, it's like, you're so weak.
You in particular, so pathetic. You need to succeed, you son of a bitch.
Yeah,
there you go.
Like, the weakest, frailest character, like this old, like, broken man, wants to, like, lift a child into a wagon. And it's like, well, I don't think he could do that. Let's see if he can. Because it's a Herculean, like, feat of strength.
I'm cruel. I'd say still, like, the difficulty to beat is a 12. Why? Because if they have a -3, they still have to beat a 15 just to do fucking anything.
No, yeah.
But I get where you're coming from, brother. I get it. Yeah. Those fucking old people. I deal with them every day.
We don't need to cover that. That's pretty standard.
Standard.
Games,
oh yeah.
Points.
Yep, carrying capacity, all that good stuff. We'll get to carrying capacity is strength +8 normal size items without a problem. Yeah, we can move on. Move forward to the hit points, the health. I love that it's a heart. Just fucking 4 chambers in aorta. Yeah, and it's so simple. Toughness +D8. In worst case, it's 1, but never less.
Yeah,
Which, that's old school.
But yeah, 1 hit point is like imagine. Like because even in D&D, in like those games, it's usually what's your hit dice? 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. You start with that. You know, in this
for these modern kids, yeah.
No, like, it's your toughness +D8. So if your toughness is 0 and you roll a 1. Guess what, kid? You're gonna get murdered by a rat.
Oh yeah. Or you get one of my favorites. That one of my players, he had like a -3 to his toughness, and he rolled exactly a 4. So he just watched all of his health just tick away immediately to 1 hit point.
I mean, at that point, you might as well roll a 1, right? Because you can.
Yeah, right. You can't lose any worth. agree with you, and that's what makes it so funny is that if he rolled a 1, he would have been fine with it, but the fact that he hit exactly a 4 and he had to watch Mel disappear. We all died laughing. It was bad. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's funny. But you're right. It's oh my god. Like it. I've seen players who are just like, "What do you mean I have 1 hit point?" And then you have people like me and Sengoku looking like, "Motherfucker, I was a wizard with 1 hit point. Stop your bitching and moaning."
And what's interesting about this is that it's not based on your class like a lot of games.
Nope.
What your class will give you is potentially a boost to your toughness. But you could still be like, I'm like a barbarian type of fighter, and just roll terribly.
Just fucking suck.
You know, so that's kind of cool.
Oh,
So 0
yeah.
hit points, you're broken. Negative hit
yeah.
points, there's no, you know, death saves. You're just dead.
It's fucking, you collapse on the ground dead, or you get lucky enough to get a 0 and you roll on the broken table.
Yeah.
Which again, I love the little yellow
The arrow,
fucking
yeah.
arrow. It's fucking great. Violence! Okay. Super simple. Initiative. This is my favorite initiative system. People are quickly realizing why this is in my top fucking 3 RPGs of all time. Maybe my second favorite. We'll see. But D3. 1 to 3, 4 to 6. Roll a D6. I often have my players roll this because it's just more fun to hear them go, "Oh, got a 4. That's us." Or, "Well, fuck me." And bad guys go first. And it changes every round, and I love it.
Yeah, and I like how they, once again, they do have the rules. If you want to do it the traditional way, you know, just agility plus D6, which is the same as it's normally your dex plus a D20. You know, so it's the same basic rule set for that. But yeah, a lot of the time it is just easier to do everybody at once, you know. Especially if it's just one enemy you're fighting. You know.
It's just easier to manage when it's just like one enemy and like, okay, everybody, what do you do? What do you do? Oh, what do you do? And what I found is that when it's that way, players kind of make their own initiative, or someone could say, "Hey, I have this ability that if I can go first this turn, you guys can do this," and it adds an extra layer of like tactics because it's like, well, you know, hey, who needs to go now? It reminds me of that like War Tales and stuff, where the initiative's kind of open for anybody to go next.
And I mean, but in D&D, it's already like that because you can just hold your turn, which is what people do constantly. Constantly, I'm gonna hold my turn. I'm gonna hold my turn, which is just this, which is just if it's the party's turn or a group of the party's turn, just who's got something that's useful first. You know, just saves an extra step.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, like what I mentioned before, DR12 is basically the number you're aiming for your melee, for your range. What's interesting and cool about Borg is your defense. So you actually roll for your agility for defense, which that's unique as well.
Oh yeah, you roll.
Yeah.
And you heard that right out there, guys. You roll. The GM hardly rolls much of anything. It is all in your hands, your success and your failure. And that, awesome.
And I love on this page too, just written there, like, you might not have ever even noticed, the DR of attacks defense are modified as with any test. Like, they just threw it on there, like, they don't have room, so just slap it on. And they have tons of room, there's room everywhere, but they're just like, yeah, let's just put it here.
It reads because it's in the black text. I like to imagine that it was just like, shit, we forgot this rule, and it's just like fucking tilt it sideways, type it in, and just say, good enough.
Yeah, we can't.
They'll think it's a great design.
We can't possibly. They've already printed it, and they just like stamped it on at the end.
Hell yeah. Broken system. I actually, again, personally, every game master does it a little differently. I personally have it, even if a player goes into negative, I have them roll a d10, a d4. But if we're playing a one-shot, sometimes I'll just say, no, negative d4 HP, you're fucking dead. Roll up another character, let's get back in the fight. But I love this broken list because one of the options is just to fucking die anyway, just to straight die. So that's why I sometimes forego the negative hit point kind of thing and just be like, hey, everybody just roll on the broken table, because you could fucking die anyway. But I love hemorrhaging. Roll a d4 and then you just fucking lose an eye or severed limb, fall unconscious.
So yeah, and then there's the crit, which is the natural 20, this is a very unique system too, because the attack is standard. Double damage, armor protection is also reduced one tier. That part's different. But the double damage is pretty standard. But what's really cool is the defense crit.
Oh yeah.
It's very cool, the idea that if you're on defense, you dodge them so well, so deftly, that you get to attack them.
You go again.
It's very cool. And then, as most of us, we all play with you. 20 is always a hit, 1 is always a fail. But this one's especially brutal because on attack, the weapon just breaks or is lost. Like, you just threw your sword into a river. Your Zweihander? Yeah, that's just gone. It's like, you don't drop it, you don't deal damage to someone else, it's just gone forever.
And it sinks into the swamp.
Yeah. And on defense, you take double damage. Basically, you dodged into the sword. And armor's damage penalties and strength and agility tests are not modified. So if armor is reduced below the first tier, it's ruined and can't be repaired. It's just broken. It's just done.
It's as broken as your body is.
Yeah.
And then, armor reduced below. I love that for armor repair costs, it's just like, hey, just go to the equipment. It's like, you over here have a page for it, we don't need to make the rules here. We took care of this in equipment, fuck it. I love just the nature of it, is you're just going, like, back and forward between these pages. I would suggest people who are not me to, like, make little post-it notes like you would in, like, big books, but thankfully in here, you don't have to make very many at all. It's very little things like that are entirely situational that you have to flip through.
Well, also you can just get the cheat sheets, like the the Mork Borg site is like, here's cheat sheets. They give you character sheets, they give you cheat sheets, they give you everything you need. Really, they're really incentivizing you to buy the book because you're supporting this great game and it looks really awesome.
Oh, also, awesome thing. I love that you brought that up. At the back of the book when we get there, there's also a cheat sheet. I just remembered, literally in the index.
Yeah, and they give you the print off of that cheat sheet essentially.
Right on the fucking Morkborg website.
All of your pieces.
Morkborg.com/content. Check it out.
And then if you go to the next page is one of my favorite pictures. It's great. So how long is a round? Which is funny because it's like a round is long enough time to make an attacker use a power and traverse a normal sized room. They're usually 10 rounds in 1 minute. So it's like, it says how long is a round, and then it basically tells you mathematically how long a round is.
Yeah.
But that's just a give or take.
General idea.
You know?
Yeah, do what you want. We don't care.
Yeah.
Rest. How to catch your breath. So rest has always made me laugh, is that you can add things you want, because, like, if you catch your breath and have a drink, it gives you D4 HP. If you have a full night's rest, D6 HP.
Yeah, it's like... Sleep is... Your dreams are racked with nightmares, so you get very little comfort.
Yep.
And without food or... So this is an interesting thing, too, because it makes food and water super important. Going back to what we were saying before about all the water is tar. It's like, well, you can't regain hit points. You know, like... If you, after 2 days of starving, you just lose D4, you know.
Per day. All that HP that you could recover, you're just losing.
Yeah. And same with infections in this world, right? Like, if you get infected, you don't get rest. Instead, you lose D6 hit points. So if you have an infection and there's no cure light wounds, you know,
that space syphilis you got is really fucking with you today.
Yeah, that dysentery that you picked up on the Oregon Trail.
God. Which you could also do using this system. You could run the Oregon Trail.
Oh man, we should totally run the Oregon Trail, Mork Borg.
Oh, I'm going to. That's what we need to write. We need to write our. Instead of calling it the Oregon Trail, we call it like the fucking. like I don't know, like fucking the Griff Trail or some shit. We plot out. Oh my god, that'd be so fucking fun.
I would love to play that game.
Oh my god, that right there would be so much fun.
Yeah. The setting of the Oregon Trail, that sort of like desolate hopelessness, is very Mork Borg.
Oh yeah. It's just, oh, what are we doing today? Oh, we're getting shot at by. Oh, what are we doing today? Oh, my son died of dysentery. Oh, what are we doing today? We're gonna try to ford the river. You should never ford the river.
No, yeah, exactly. Well, you got wet. Yeah, you got an infection.
You got an infection. You're fucking dead.
Yeah.
Reactions. Ooey. Whether a random enemy actually wants to hurt you, which, in my opinion, is fascinating because not everything out there wants to die. And so some things, when they see your player characters, they want to kill them. But there is the theoretical possibility that something out there they just meet, and like meeting a creature whose reaction is uncertain, you roll it, and it's like a real friendly, helpful homie in this apocalyptic bleakness. You could have my party. They met an ochre jelly, and I rolled. They were like ready to fight it, and I rolled it. It got a 12. It became their mascot of their team. It became their best friend. It was just this pulsating ochre jelly.
Yeah, I do like the idea that you just come across like an ogre and then it's just like indifferent. It's just like, eh. Just stay out of my swamp and we're good.
Meet a hag. Just like, nah, get out of my swamp. Oh.
And morale too, which is an important part, which a lot of game systems have got into the system of putting in, but this one has it built right in. And what I like too is if the leader is killed or half the group is eliminated, a single enemy only has 1/3 of its, so it actually breaks it down, which is kind of cool. Because this game doesn't really tell you like there's any hard rules, but it's interesting how they do have a hard rule for morale, like a very well thought out rule set, which is
very well put into. If your roll is greater than the creature's morale value, it is demoralized. It either flees or surrenders. Which it is. We don't. You know, a lot of first-time players, like, they fight to kill because they're there to get the that's what they're used to. And so, in games, not just like this, but in, like, D&D and stuff, and, like, any RPG, when an enemy throws up their hands and is like, I surrender, unfortunately, half the time, the party, you know, half of them are like, oh, yeah, we should not kill them. And I'm talking specifically, like, first-time players. But the other half just fucking shoot them to death because they're like, well, I'm supposed to kill it, aren't I? And it's just this enemy writhing in pain that gave up. And it's like, oh, people can surrender in this. Oh my god, I'm a monster.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. Fucking love this game. I'll keep saying that. I'm sorry. We get to probably your another one of your favorites.
Yeah, getting better or worse. And I love the art too. It's
so sick.
Yeah. So the game master decides when a character should improve. It can be after completing a scenario, killing mighty foes, or bringing home treasure. So this would be the D&D equivalent of milestones. Right? So there's no experience points. It's just when it seems right. When they've earned it. Which once again, every DM is gonna have a different standard.
Oh yeah.
There's tables you roll on. So for hit points, you roll 60-10. If the result is equal to or greater than your current maximum hit points, increase it. If it's not, you don't get any more hit points. Left in the debris you find, D6.
Oh yeah.
So you can get something or you can get nothing. The ability change, roll a d6 against every ability, which is an interesting thing, because you normally would just up one ability score. Results equal to or greater than the ability increased by 1 to a maximum of +6. Results below the ability decrease it by 1. So you can lose here. Abilities from -3 to +1 are always increased. So if you're terrible, you're going to get better. But if you're getting pretty good at something, you might actually lose out by trying to get better.
A prodigious rise precipitates a dizzying fall.
And that's why fans of like Darkest Dungeon will fucking adore this game.
Yeah.
Like, ugh. And how I usually do it is it just depends on the game. I either allow a player to, when it comes to this moment, I let player choose one of these, or I do all of them at once. It just depends on if it's a long-running adventure, if it's just a one-shot, if it's like a short series of games. It's up to you as the game leader to be like, okay, do I want to have all these activate at once, or allow player to choose one or the other, or, and again,
I would give them all of them, just because it's such a brutal world that
it is brutality.
You need everything, you know, like if you rolling hit points, you're rolling 60-10. Unless you roll all ones and you're a first level character, you're gonna get more hit points.
You're gonna get more HP. But what I was meaning is for the ability changes.
Yeah. I personally think I would let them do all of it. Especially because there's a built-in system to be like, you might lose, you know?
And that's what it makes it fun, is that you might lose something which players aren't used to anymore.
No.
Like, players are not used to losing.
You don't get worse.
And it being okay.
Because the mentality since the 80s has always been, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, a lot of the time what almost kills you makes you far, far weaker. You know? You don't get beat into the hospital with a baseball bat and come out stronger. You come out weaker, definitively.
Oh yeah, there was this game, I can't remember, I think it was, it was this like top-down shooter game where the tagline of the game was instead what doesn't kill you scars you for life.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well,
I think that fits this much more.
Go ahead. That new Sifu game where every time you die you get older.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's just like, okay, go on. You die enough and you're just dead.
Oh yeah, you're just fucking corpse in the side of the fucking... Oh, it just reminds me also, see it from A Million Ways to Die on the West. He died like 30 seconds ago. Oh, so you didn't hear a single thing I said? Nope. I'd love that for a monologue. Sometime the player's about to do his badass monologue and they just fucking drop dead because they... Okay. Next page would be powers! The magic of the setting.
A few so-called powers are known, and they are usually found written in scrolls.
Roll presence plus d4 each morning to determine how many times you can cast that spell per day. Choose from your available scrolls. The roll is a 12, usually. If you succeed, the power is active and subtract 1 from your total from your day that you can cast. If you fail, the power doesn't work, and you lose d2 worth of damage and become dizzy for an hour. During this time, powers will always fail in the worst possible ways, and if you get a crit or a fumble, there's an entire list just for arcane catastrophes. Brutality.
Yeah.
Magic can be brutal.
Well, and this is the equivalent of like your spells per day. It's like your spell slots, right? It's just the difference is you don't have any built-in magic. It's kind of powered by the scrolls. It's just your ability to channel them. It's just kind of a cool concept.
Oh yeah, which I love. I love settings where magic is like focused through an object. I mean, magic just for the sake of magic can be cool, but when you like have to focus that logic, have to learn and be focused and do something like old school D&D, that's how it was, is that you had your spell book and you had to recite your spells every morning if you wanted to be able to cast them, to use them. And I know they still kind of do that in modern day with like 5e and stuff. It just, I don't know, I've never, when I play as a wizard, this doesn't have the same chutzpah. But this captures that so beautifully. That like, in scrolls are split into two different kinds, unclean and sacred. And if you're wondering, yes, you can write your own spells because who's gonna fucking stop you?
And they do kind of play out to be unclean. Sort of would translate to more like arcane almost. You know, like if you're thinking of like a warlock or a sorcerer or a wizard, a lot of these spells would seem familiar. Like a fireball hits D2 creatures and deals D8 damage per creature. It's just a fireball.
Just fireball.
You know, you have foul psychopomp, which is necromancy. And then when you go over to your sacred scrolls, it's like, okay, and then you got some healing. You can ask the dead a question. You can, this sounds like cleric's abilities. The bestial speech is like a druid ability.
And that's what makes this setting super cool. Is that you can use these and you can interpret that. But guess what? Anyone can cast spells unless otherwise stated in this setting. These scrolls, if you can read it, you can use it. And you can use that, as he stated, to RP kind of like, if you have a sacred scroll, you could be a holy man. You don't have to be a cleric to do that. You could be a holy man with a Zweihander, or be a thievy kind of fella, but have some holy side to you, while also you could be a spell sword.
You can't use the Zweihander. It says specifically.
I know. I have to put up my Zweihander after I use it, and then I can use my spell.
That's a rule I would probably work around, because I like the idea. This is kind of going with like the biblical, like crusader. When you carry your like bones into battle, of magic. It's not so much you're channeling or you're born with some dragon blood or something. It's
fucking
like,
yeah.
No, there's some knowledge that existed when the world was a good place. It's not that anymore, but when there was some knowledge that's gone missing. It's like the Library of Alexandria was scattered, and that's where all the arcane and divine magic is.
Oh yeah, and again, going to what you could do as yourself, like think of it doing like some dwarven style runing. What if, like, as a game master, you allowed for like weapons to be enchanted with certain abilities, but you have to have the scroll, and you have to burn a scroll to add that to a weapon, potentially permanent. Different possibilities like that,
I do like too how needlessly chaotic it is, because like they'll just throw in Roman numerals.
Yeah!
Like Sacred Scrolls is like 1, 2, then Roman numeral 3, 4, 5, Roman numeral 6, 7 is Roman numeral. It's just like, just random, just needlessly.
Random. Just because it looks cool.
Yeah.
Fucking Indokian centaur. One blindly obeys a single command. Fucking suicide.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking love it. The next page, for some fucking reason, it's badass, but just like, we could have used this earlier in the book, but then they were like, no, we're just gonna put Lucy and Ark over here. Just in the middle of the book.
Yeah, so if you were wondering who she...
yep.
This is she.
Yeah. Fucking badass looking, though. Fucking...
And once again, though, this is a list of the Basilisk demands. What does that mean? Who knows? There's no rules saying like when this happens, roll the demands. There's nothing here that says anything. It just says this is one of the things it might want, and then it's up to the GM to figure out how they're gonna work that in.
Fucking honestly, like, and these can be demands for the party or antithetical to the party's desires. So, this could be used as potentially like adventure seeds of the plots against the players and shit. So for the players, there's cuticles of an executed innocent. Interesting.
What do you know what Bloot Day bread is?
Which
Number 6.
Number 6. Bloot Day bread. Blood Day bread.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
so
okay.
Blood Day bread.
I have no idea what that means.
I don't. Maybe it's something you or me come up with. What is blood? Maybe it's a type of bread that when built and crafted with a certain type of wheat, it looks like it's coated in blood. And that could be something interesting.
Like, imagine you rolled number 17, and then and then all the children have been turned into zombies. So
oh my god!
Search the world for a three-eyed zombie baby, as all the other babies are trying to kill you.
Oh my god, it's fucking great. Maybe it's the only one, the all-seeing eye. Maybe it's the only one that's not a zombie, or it is a zombie. But it's like a zombie that has some cognizance because its third eye is open. Oh, there's so many story ideas.
And a lot of this,
baby's trying to kill you.
And a lot of this you can roll a d20, but like looking at this as a GM, like a lot of the times, some of these are just really cool plots. So if something sticks out to you and you wanted to do, there's a child born with a third eye, and you want a whole quest revolving around that, that's cool. Like, just pick it. Like, you know, this is just here in case, like, you know, for the random sake, because sometimes that's fun too. Sometimes the party approaches and you as a GM, you're like, let's see. I have no idea how this is gonna go.
I have no idea what the fuck a gluttonous is, but we're gonna find out how you're gonna find a roller, motherfucker. Oh god, fucking love this game.
Mm-hmm.
And then we come to, in my opinion, one of the best Benny systems in an RPG. So much so, I actually prefer to use this version of it over like Inspiration in Dungeons and Dragons and shit. And I use it in place of it, and it works really well.
Yeah.
Omens, or the You're Taken, which is just omens in Swedish because that's where it's from. Clearly the eye of the other powers are upon you. Eldritch Watchers, or the fanged fates of alternate worlds. Call it luck if you like. Every class gains a number of omens. If you play without classes, every character begins with 1d2. When depleted, roll the class designated die, d2 if you're playing without a class, and regain that many omens after resting for at least 6 hours. So, omens again is optional. Again, depending on the game, have omens every 6 hours. I usually instead do omen replenishment. You know, whenever I'm doing a getting better, I usually use that time to give them omens. It just depends on how long, again, your game is and how long you're expecting to do things. But omens are awesome because you use an omen to deal max damage with one attack, or re-roll a dice roll, yours or someone else's, or lower damage dealt to you by d6, or neutralize a critical fumble or success, yours or the enemy's. You can use it at any time. Lower a test by -4. I also often give my omens when my party, like a player does something really cool, like hey, you thought of this genius idea, here's a point, gain an omen. Boom.
So you're using it as inspiration.
Yeah, like I said, as inspiration, the idea, exactly, is it is a reward, exactly, that because it just feels so cool, because, you know, re-rolling a die, alright, re-roll a die, but it's such a specific thing saying, no, I'm not going to re-roll my die because then I could still fail, but if I reduce the difficulty by 4, I succeed. I like that, personally. I think that that's really cool, because my roll, I got exactly like a 9, and but I need that 12 to succeed. Reduce it by 4, I beat it, it's an 8, boom. I think that is really fun and very, like, specific enough to be exciting. And the idea of just canceling a bad guy's crit is just like, the enemy criticals, and you say, nope, I halt his crit. A friend of yours is about to fumble, you can halt it. That's fucking
Which is
cool.
Realistically, how you're gonna use that the most.
Fucking honestly, I mean, yeah.
In this world, fumbling is like, oh, my weapon breaks. Yeah, no thanks. Or I take double.
You know.
Yeah, no thanks.
Oh yeah, or reducing the damage you take by a d6. You know, that can have some real fun use, because that can, like, save you in a moment. Again, you just re-rolling the enemy's roll, they could still win. But if you reduce it, the incoming hit, you could theoretically not take any damage at all. So, you know, it comes down to that factor of, you know, it's your use. You use the tactics of how you're using it. This is the point. What you do with it is your business, and I really like that.
Yeah, it's like what other game systems use luck for. This is omens are luck, you know.
Yep.
In every way, it's just the same, inspiration, luck, whatever you call it. But in this world, it just feels even more important.
Oh yeah.
Because everything is so precious. Every time, if you don't kill an enemy in this turn, it might be the death of the party. It might be like a total party wipe, you know?
Oh yeah.
TPK moment, so like everything feels precious. which is why I really like the use of it. And I think how often you give out your omens really dictates, to your point, how long you're going to do the game for.
Mm-hmm.
If it's over the course of a week, maybe I'd do every day.
Right.
Kind of like inspiration or something. If it's going to be just a couple hours, maybe after every combat, you know. And I'd encourage you to just figure out what works for you. And once again, these are all just optional rules, you know. So this is not a game for someone who wants a hard set of rules. It's really best used when you kind of take the things you like and change the things you don't.
Oh yeah, fucking awesomeness.